Right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the latest in our series of interviews. These are for promoting the Wrexham Festival at the end of the month. Say at the end of the month, it's actually next week because we're now talking Sunday. So it's happening this Friday and Saturday, 27th, 28th. And tonight, I'm with Scouse heavyweights, Devil's Henchmen. Do you want to introduce yourself, guys?
Hello, I'm Joe. I'm the vocalist and guitarist. Well, rhythm guitarist for Those Henchmen.
Hi, I'm Dylan, and I'm the lead guitarist and backing vocals.
Brilliant. So, first things first, guys. Thank you for doing this with us tonight, and also thank you for committing to come and play for us in Wrexham. You have played for us before. You've not done Wrexham with us though before, have you?
No, we've never done Wrexham.
No. So obviously you went down really well when you played McLean. So first thing we want to do is get you back and get you back on one of our bigger shows. So for those that don't know about you, can you just give us a bit of background of the band, like how you formed and what type of thing you do, that sort of thing?
Okay, so we originally formed quite a few years ago now when we were still in school, and originally started as a three-piece and with a couple little lineup changes. Still got a couple of original members, including me. And then when COVID hit, it was kind of like a bit of a restart for the band. And just after we got Dylan to come in and join, and since then, me and Dylan have took on like most of the writing together, and it's kind of became what it's become now. And I think we finally like started to find our sound and everything now. So yeah.
So how did Dylan end up in the band then?
So I knew Dylan from his other band Wistmother, from just playing around in like the local Liverpool scene, and I started uni doing audio production, and Dylan was on the same course as me, so we instantly just like became good mates then. And when it came to me writing some new stuff, I was thinking I could do it like another guitarist there and someone that can do like some strong backing vocals. So I was like, as me and Dylan became good mates anyway, I was like, "Hey Dylan, fancy coming down for a jam?" I think he knew what I was getting at anyway. But yeah, it just like it clicked really quick, and I think it was just an obvious thing to get him on board.
Yeah, so I actually remember seeing you as a three piece. I think it was in Manchester, Grand Central, and it
Okay, yeah,
was quite a long time ago. And quite often with a lot of the bands that we've seen come through the Liverpool scene, you were very, very young.
yeah.
I mean, I said the same things about Reaper when we first seen them and a few other bands. Um, so obviously you've grown, not just grown in numbers, you've obviously grown and matured as a band. How's that affected your writing and your music?
I think originally when we like started writing, I don't think there was like necessarily like a direction. We were just a bunch of metalheads that wanted to write music together, and it started just as writing went and as playing gigs that we just like slowly started to find our sound. Um, and like now I think we fell into like the thrash sort of category, which is really cool. And then once Dylan came along, started putting some more like hardcore influences. So now like a lot of our newer stuff is like sort of this thrash hardcore crossover thing, but still mainly thrash, but it's got some different flavors in there. I think that's been like a big impact that Dylan's had on the band into like sort of finding our feet with it.
So how do you feel that's gone with you coming in and changing the dynamic, that Dylan?
Um, I've really enjoyed it. I mean, I when I first started playing in a metal band, it was thrash. So when Joe turned around and was like, "Do you want to come back in and come join and like get back into thrash and stuff like that?" And I thought, "Oh yeah, cool." But since then, I'd gotten into more music and I discovered hardcore and things like that. And when I first met Joe, I told him about all of these hardcore bands, which are basically just thrash bands at the end of the day. They just play breakdowns. And he was like, "No, I've never got into it." Like, he knew some bands and he liked some bands, but he never got into it properly. And I showed him these few bands like Drain and Akulu, and he was really into it. And I thought, oh, great, I can lob some of these riffs in. And it's just, I think it's taken the live shows to another level, and it just makes it like so much more fun to play. Or not, or, like Thrash is really fun to play, but like adding in all these extra little bits, it's just, I think the live show has really changed the most. and it's become more of a thing, like more of a product that we bring is like our live shows and how much energy there is and all that.
Also, I think with the bits like hardcore flavors in there now as well, the like chants is became like a prominent thing in our music now with like the backing vocals and like Dylan said with like the breakdowns and stuff, and that's a lot of fun live as well.
Well, obviously, I've got quite a bit of experience within the Liverpool scene. You know, my background started with the Mosh Against Cancer gigs years ago and things like that. The scene is actually quite healthy now. How do you think you fit in with the other bands that are, popping up and down in the Liverpool scene now?
Well, we think it's great. Like since COVID, it's just been like it's just grown so much. Like before COVID, it was Liverpool was always like a bit of a there wasn't much of a metal scene. There was some like really there was some brilliant bands about, but like it seemed like people just didn't really want to come to many of them shows. And then I think having everyone like stuck in the house for COVID and that when everyone was back out and allowed to come to gigs, it's just like it's just blown up a bit. And like these Liverpool shows that we've been doing the last couple of years have just been like some of our best shows, like just next level stuff. There's some really like cool bands in the scene, like Ogun and Absolence and Reaper. You know, some really cool bands out there.
So I mean, like I said, the bands, sorry, all the bands you've mentioned there have all played shows for us, and obviously we've got Absence playing for us in a few weeks' time in McLean's. So obviously it's nice to give that a shout out.
Yeah,
So let's just talk about yourselves now. Your music. What have you got out, and what have you got upcoming?
we've got quite a few bits out, but like mainly we put our album out towards the end of last year. It's coming up to about a year anniversary now. Should be start of October. That was like so important for us to get out because it was like we knew it was our best stuff yet, and like we just had like these 10 songs that we were just dying to put out, and we took our time with like the production on it and make sure we were really happy with it, and that's like been like a bit of a big step for us since releasing that. Things have picked up a bit more, and more recently we've just put out an EP of 6 covers from like some music that's like really influenced us in the last couple of years, with like the other little bits of like subgenres of metal coming in there and adding flavor to our music. It's just like a bit of a nod to them sort of bands that has really influenced us. Yeah, and that was really cool to put out because some people got really excited about some of the songs and bands that we were covering, and it's always nice to throw one or two of them in live, and again just create that atmosphere at the gigs.
So what bands did you cover?
So there was Suicidal Tendencies, Cro-Mags, Misfits, Sex Pistols, Motorhead, and Discharge.
Right, okay, so very punky, really.
Yeah, very punky.
But
Very,
it's
very
all
punky.
they're all the bands that like, you know, I'm going to be 46 in a few days. Sorry, 47 in a few days. And they're all the bands I grew up watching. We're all citing as influences, and to see the young guys now, still having the same influence, it just shows the kind of mark they had. I mean, at the time, everyone was covering Cro-Mags. Even Nirvana did it. And stuff like that. And so you got that type of thing, and it's nice that it's still within the metal genre, and everyone's still remembering and stuff like that. And you could have played it safe by covering Metallica or Machine Head or something like that. But fair play to you for going on. So, what was the idea behind that?
I think it was just that we put the album out and we've still got some new material that we're working on. We're always working on new stuff. And we know that's going to be some time next year that the next lot of music comes out, our next album. So to just bridge the gap between now and then, we thought it'd be really fun to just put out some songs that like I said, are like big influences for us. Um, it was less work because we didn't have to write the songs, so we just had to get it down to it in our style a little bit and make it Devil's Henchman, and so that was really fun to put out, and it worked out quite cool. We
A
just
lot of
did the
those
launch.
songs as well. We've been playing for like a while live, like the Where Eagles Dare, the Misfits cover. We've been doing that since before I was in the band.
Yeah,
Like it's
that's
always
been a
been
long
a
time.
part of Devil's Henchman.
And we've been lucky enough that a couple of bands we've covered on there we've played with. So we played with Cro-Mags last month in Manchester. We played with Discharge back in April. in the Boulevard in Wigan. So it's really
Yeah.
cool that like some massive influences for us we've been able to support.
Well, that's absolutely brilliant. It's nice that you can actually get on them shows and things like that because at a time where you had to pay onto them kind of shows and things like that. So it's nice to see, that the young bands are getting a chance to play that sort of thing. So obviously, the cover versions, and I'm assuming there isn't any on your album. So what's apart from the fact that the cover versions musically, um, is there a big what's the big departure between the album and the EP?
I think it's just having. I'm not sure. We've kept it very much similar style to the album, because that's just like the sound we've got at the minute. But I think it's just again just having more fun with it, with a lot more like vocal chanting with the backing vocals and like just putting our own bits of style down was really fun.
I think
But
another thing is that some people, like reviewers and people who've come up to us on the album, have said, "Oh, we listened to the album and it's great, like all these thrash influences and stuff like that." They might not pick up on these punk influences and hardcore influences that we have in there as well. Like all like Suicidal crossover band, they're a huge influence on us. And I think after people have heard us covering War Inside My Head, they then go, "Oh, I can now hear it in the album and pick out all these little bits where we're clearly taking our influences and where it's had like an effect on us personally."
And you're still writing for the second album then?
yep,
Yep.
busy with that at the minute.
And how far along are we with it?
But we've got about 4 or 5 songs fully musically done. A couple like completely finished with vocals. So we're hoping that end of this year, start of next year, we can get a first single out.
Okay, so with your live shows then, uh, obviously the one I want to talk about is well, from my point of view, I'm guessing it's one of your biggest shows. Is you managed to win the Metal to the Masses in Liverpool, and you played the hallowed turf that we know as Bloodstock. What can you remember about that show?
Everything. It still doesn't really feel real. It's like a weird dream that like that happened. But no, that was just absolutely brilliant. Everything about it.
Just an adrenaline fueled fever dream, the whole thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. So obviously we're part of the Metal to the Masses scene. We've got the North Wales one. Thrash band Judgment won ours this year. Guys from Manchester. We've got a bit of history with it now, and it's always something that you know we always earmark in our calendar. Our final next year is planned. Clashes with Iron Maiden, unfortunately, in the the Birmingham show, but we can still get to the Manchester one. Um, so, but it's something we know and love, and so we always like to talk it up with people. So, with your Metal to the Masses thing, just obviously from the start of the competition to the end, like just give us a brief how that went.
Well, I think something that took us by surprise by going through the whole Metal to the Masses thing was like just sort of how healthy the Liverpool scene was. The both shows that we did for the Metal to the Masses were complete sellouts in a 250 cap room, and the bands that played were a brilliant, like they were all brilliant bands and really, really just sound people. There was a few bands that we had never played with before, so it was like the first time we've got to properly meet them. We've made some really good mates that are in other bands in the scene just through going through the Metal to the Masses. And I was just made up. There was no sort of like weird like competitiveness. It was just we were all just there having a good time, and it was really fun.
I think another thing was when they did these shows, they made them 16 plus, and they gave out wristbands to all of the younger metalheads and thrashers coming in. And you, in our scene, everywhere's 18 plus, obviously, like all the venues and stuff, and you don't realize how many people want to get out to these shows, how many kids want to be like involved and get to know everyone else in the scene. But it was those two shows where I think it really dawned on us how big the Liverpool scene is and how much it's grown when you suddenly had all these kids who were like raring to get into a gig. and they're all coming like flooding through the door just to see some bands, see the local scene.
So you get through to the final, you you win the final, and then you're off on the New Blood stage. And then I think, well, we're right, it was Justin that introduced you. Do you not remember?
I'm terrible with names.
Justin used to be in the band Harkin. Um, big, well,
Elliot would probably know that, I think.
yeah.
He's better
Well,
with the names.
so anyway, you get introduced, and then you're out. How are you feeling when you see that crowd?
It was just brilliant. Like, I think something that me and Dylan always laugh about with it is we were talking side stage and we just finished getting set up, and I said, "How are you feeling? Are you nervous?" And he went, not too nervous. We're all right." So we walk on stage and we're like, "Oh yeah, this feels like weirdly comfortable." And I pick up my bottle of water as we're getting introduced, and this water is shaking. It's really shaking. I looked at Dylan. Maybe I am a bit nervous.
I was there trying to like plug something into my guitar amp, and I'm like, I can't, couldn't do it. Couldn't like actually get it into the plug.
Yeah. So there was nerves, but it was just like pure excitement. So we just couldn't wait to just bring our music and our energy to that crowd that was there.
So, well, I was one of the crowd, and you went over really well. We made up for you. So now we'll talk about Wrexham then, innit? So Wrexham's coming up, obviously, at the end of this week. Um, have you got anything special in store for us?
But you know, it's gonna be a good opportunity to. I mean, we've never played Wrexham before, so we're really excited for that. And I think it's a good opportunity since releasing our covers EP to maybe throw one of them in that we don't normally play live. There's a couple songs on that covers EP that we had never played live before until the release show that we did back at the start of last month. So we'll definitely throw one of them in that we don't normally play live.
All right, brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and obviously, you're going to bring copies of your album, your CD, and some merch as well.
Of course, we got lots of new merch, and we've got cassettes of our new EP, CDs from the last album, patches. We've got a load of stuff, so we'll be bringing all that down.
Cassettes.
Yeah, cassettes.
Cassettes. What's the idea behind that then?
I think it was just like because obviously a lot of them songs that we were covering are like 70s, 80s songs. It just fit like the vibe to just get some cassettes made, something which we've never had done before. So we just thought it'd be a cool idea, really, and everyone seemed to really enjoy it.
Yeah, all the DIY punk bands and stuff like that, like the Misfits. They were putting out cassettes because they were the cheap and easy to do, and I mean, not to say that we haven't got any money, which we don't have any money, but like, it's a good, it's a nice little thing to put out, and I think it stays within the theme of the whole punky EP, all the art and stuff like that we've made ourselves, and like it's all very DIY.
Yeah.
Well, you see, from somebody who remembers when cassettes were an actual thing and not a retro novelty, it is quite fun to see that sort of thing, and there is a lot of bands doing it now as well. So, I mean, I've probably still got it somewhere. Like a big bag of cassettes that I used to just carry around in the car, when you just change the tape and things like that. Whereas now you plug Spotify in and don't and out yourself. So it is nice to see that sort of thing. I am still a little bit retro though. I don't do vinyl. I do CDs. Still love me CDs. I've got CDs there that I haven't even opened or unwrapped because it's on Spotify. So I tend to just buy them and then still listen to on Spotify anyway. But it's great to see that actually, not just digital downloads and stuff like that. The physical copies are still out there, and especially as metalheads like that sort of thing, don't we?
Yeah.
So
I think it's an important part to have a physical copy. It's something that we like ourselves as music enjoyers.
So basically, I mean, obviously going for a time, land before time sort of thing. We used to get the CDs, and you'd read the inlay cards from start to finish and stuff like that. So you used to appreciate it, and now with the instant information you got, it's kind of dying out a bit. So it's nice when you say, I mean, I've just got the new Solitary album, and it's nice to see they've actually gone a bit of a way and got a proper inlay card with some information on and things like that, a few pictures and so that. So it's nice. I mean, obviously it's something that isn't really needed now, but it is still nice when it happens. So, good on you, lads.
I mean, we did that for the cassette and for the album, the CD. There's a whole like inner sleeve booklet and stuff like that, which me and Joe went over and over on for hours and hours, going back and forth, doing it ourselves.
And still managed to get a couple spellings wrong.
Gotta leave them in there.
Yeah.
So
that's how you know it's DIY. That's how
that's
know.
it.
Oh,
the spelling
that's
errors.
it, isn't it? Hey, there's nothing wrong with a few spelling mistakes. The thing is, I always used to do, because I've got a history working for Ladbrokes, and we used to do our own boards, and nobody would look at the board unless you spelt something wrong, and then everyone looked at it. So
that was our idea, wasn't it, Phil?
Yeah.
It's a marketing ploy.
Exactly it.
Honestly, it was my excuse 20 years ago, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
When our next album comes out and the main name is misspelt, that's why you know why.
That's it. So, is there any other business, gents? Anything else you want to talk about, or?
I think it's one of them where it's definitely keep an eye on our socials and come to a gig and come and see what we're all about live. And
well, plug your socials now then.
Well, it's just Devils Henchmen _UK on Instagram, and Facebook is just Devils Henchmen. YouTube, all the streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. Bandcamp.
And where can they buy your merch apart from at the live gigs?
So head over to our Bandcamp store. We've got tons of t-shirts, CDs, cassettes. So you can spoil yourself on there.
And so the one last thing I'm going to ask you is, we're trying to get Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney to come to the gigs. How do we do it?
I think this is one for Dylan.
Hold on a second.
Is he going to strip?
I hope so. We need the views, don't we? You see.
Come on. Hey.
So
you want to, Ryan.
You basically want him to sign your Deadpool book.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'll bring it. If he's there, I'll there you go.
Well, we invite him to everything. Neither of them have come so far. The best idea we've had coming up has been from Bloodmoors, and they said to forget Ryan Reynolds and just invite the whole cast of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So don't know how that'll go. So
if Danny DeVito showed up, that'd be amazing, having him in the pit.
Well, that's exactly what everyone said. Get Danny DeVito. So would be nice, wouldn't it? So anyway, guys, I'm going to thank you for turning up tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure having a chat with you, and we look forward to seeing you on Saturday, the 28th. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, I'm Joe from Devils Henchmen. I sing and play guitar, and this is our music video Grimace off our debut album. Hope you enjoy.
To a world despised, create a race of a lost kind, destructive tendencies, distinct in our scorn, unequal unravels, malicious to our end. Falls down the wrong path, to tyrannies who can never come back, to stay left on your existence, despair drives you to extinction. Lacerations self-inflicted, trauma of the misery we spread, the pain and truth that we always lived, never left us sad. Impulse of nature, misplaced romance, the blurred treatment of a native home, spine of the mother earth, the sickness in her eye. Into your face, the down to your knees, the twisted grimace of the face that's dead. Lost to the heart of a past, none of them all, is a cause, the feeling of remorse, controlling your fate, the behavior of a criminal race. A dark cloud of a burning desire, with hatred, never fear. What's up to talk about? My ritualist cops, was it shit? Impulse of nature, misplaced torment, abhorrent treatment of a native home. Spine of the mother, the sickness in her eye. With to your face, the touch of your knees, the twisted grimace of a face that's dead. The mouth of God, hero to our execution, savior of mankind, forgiveness of our past. Swallowed by the mouth of God, hero to our execution, savior of mankind, forgiveness of our past. Long life. To your face, the touch of your knees, the twisted grimace of